A couple of quick notes about flashbangs. Last night playing, I saw someone like try to flash out into a spot. It wasn't this one, but like the general idea, and they weren't sure what to do. Like they didn't have a lineup, so they just ended up like bouncing it many times, like something like this. And it's like it's so easy to dodge. It's not even funny, and it also gives like ample time to react to the fact that you're gonna get pinked. And I understand the idea or the instinct if you don't have a lineup or an edge like this to throw it from. But if the guy's like actually watching your, or like if there's a corner, there's nothing wrong with just underhanding a nade or a flash if you don't have a lineup, because it doesn't give, you can control the visible hang time easily once you get a feel for it, and it doesn't give like a bouncing sound. And even it's easy to time it, so even if they dodge it, you're peeking with it easily. So even if they dodge it, now they're getting shot at already. Instead of something like this, which is just a huge mess, where they can like time their turns easier. Now while I'm at it, if there's a few other things about flashbangs I want to talk about, because people think that there's like think that there's a lot of nerdy lineups that people use for flashes, which is okay on some flashes maybe, but like in general, people don't actually use a lot of nerdy flash lineups. There's just a few theoretical constants that you wanna keep in mind, and that I see people not respect enough in Gourmans. One is, let's say you're coming up, or you're defending A site here, and they're coming up lane, and then people just like chuck flashes like this, and they're pushing you like, what's this? This isn't gonna do much. So like you're trying to land it in front of them, so people just chucking flashes in the general direction isn't gonna do much. Another thing is, say you're flashing for your friends, you have a guy in pit here, and this is something that you can easily like apply on any spot on any map, and it will make your flashes like 7 times better. And it's obvious, but if you haven't thought about it, then it doesn't really, like, you're not applying it to your game. And you have a friend in pit, right? And they're pushing lane. And how are you gonna flash for your friend? Are you just gonna chuck it here? Okay, well, no good. Maybe, or it relies on communication and this guy knowing that it's gonna pop in front of him. And if you mistime it by just a bit, he's fucked. And instead, you can either, like, if there's an obstacle in front of him, like that, then you can flash like there, or then a flash behind him or above him, but in front of the enemy, like so. And this will also enable him to peek while being effective against these guys. And this basic principle will let you flash for your teammates without super communicating what you're doing, just unless you want them to peek like on a timing with it. But like if you're, say you have a guy watching Arch, you have a guy in pit, maybe apps is, for whatever reason you're not worried about it, or maybe you're coming from here, but like this is covered, you have a guy in pit, they're pushing lane, and you don't have to, like, you can just chuck this on the way in, and you don't have to necessarily communicate it with this guy, but it's gonna give him space. It's gonna let him stay alive for a bit longer for you to get here and get into a crossfire with him. And the same thing applies like on T side, because if you're, say your friends are pushing into B, well, if you're just chucking flashes over site like this, first of all, again, it's there. Well, it's just gonna dodge. But second of all, your friends are gonna come in and get fucked. And then that's not gonna work. But if you think about where your friends are watching and what the enemies are watching, the enemies need to be watching this way. And your friends are either watching towards site, or if they're watching towards CT, they're checking that. Then that roof's gonna be covering them. So this is not very good, a very good flash, but you can just chuck one over the roof there. It's gonna like at least be safe for your teammates, even if it's not a fully effective flash. Or like on top of shit, like if you manage to get one to pop like here somewhere, just like something like that, where it's effective, but it doesn't like get your teammates. So that's like basic like idea that I try to, and sometimes I fuck up and flash my teammates. If it goes like too deep or something, fuck. If it goes too deep over that thing and pops here, then that's unfortunate, then I fucked up, but that's like the basic idea that I try to go by. So that's like where your flashes are popping is one thing, and the other thing that I think is important is just like minimizing hang time, and that's kind of what I talked about with the underhand thing. But another thing you can like think about is like the route the flashbang takes and where it's visible. And you don't have to like, if you just think about it for a couple of matches, you start to get an intuition for it. So like say you want to pick mid and then you just, what if you flash like this? Well, I mean, well, that's a flashbang. I'm not gonna stay here. Compared to like something like going over this roof. Like this. Well, not like that, whatever. Just like something like this. I don't have a lineup. I used to have a lineup for All Inferno, but like, fuck. It's getting embarrassing now. I think I had a lineup for this actually. It doesn't matter. But just something like this, where you're, it's not like in their field of view for a long time. It's just like, yeah, there we go. It's like it doesn't stay in their field of view for a long time, minimizing their chances to turn around. And if they react to it turning around, they haven't turned around in time where you're already like peeking them. Then another thing is, say if you're calling out, well, this is something that gets a lot of miscommunication between me and Goose, but sometimes I'll say like I'll flash for you, and if I say you're gonna have to turn or turn, then it means like turn away from the direction you're going to be facing when you peek out. Like if you're peeking that and I say turn, I want you to be turned this way or this way. And if I just say I'm flashing for you, just means you're not gonna have to turn. Say there's a guy CT and I say I'm flashing for your peek, then that doesn't mean that I'm flashing here necessarily. It means I'm flashing like here, where they don't have to worry about anything else than when it pops. And one last thing that I'm not doing, but I think would be cool to see more people do, is something that some teams do, is where they call their flash pops. Say you're flashing car here, and there's a lot of noise, and you know when your flash pops, but the guy waiting to peek has a lot of noise, there's a lot of comms, whatever. So you just throw, and then you say pop or boom or whatever, and then the guy hears it, and then he peeks, and that basically he's peeking of that little piece of comm instead of the flashbang sound, and that reduces the chance that you are peeking into your friend's flashbang. And that's just a couple of notes from about flashbangs that I had after yesterday.